Good morning, everyone. It is a little cool and crispy here, a little windy, so hopefully there won't be too much. You can see the leaves moving, the trees moving in the background. It's a little windy here today, so hopefully you won't have too much wind noise. The StreamYard's pretty good at background noise, so we shall find out. Yeah, busy week. We're packing up. I'm going to be a traveling gypsy here for the next month, so it'll be Where in the World is Jim Laird today. So I'm going to hang out here in Florida for a while, and then we'll see where we go from there. So Dr. Stillman will be joining me shortly, I believe. But it's been a busy week. Lots of things going on. And make sure you get on our email list. We have a webinar tomorrow. Dr. Stillman is going to be going over iron. It's one of his favorite topics, iron overload, and how that relates to blood pressure. So that'll be a lot of fun. That's at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we send the email out every Monday and Wednesday night. So you'll get an email tonight with a link to that. We just don't publicly stream that. We're basically doing all of our course content on a weekly webinar to basically update on our Fundamentals of Wellness course with, we call it coaching/mastermind, where we actually had a really good group coaching call last night. Get on group coaching calls, guide people, get to know people. A lot of the nuance is really getting to know people's context, right? Like what, I eat well, but what does that mean? And we start talking about what they're eating, and we get into the details, and then we find out, I've had acid reflux for, 15 years. I've been on a proton pump inhibitor. And then it's a matter of not prescribing or telling what to do. It's like educating them. And okay, if you're blocking your stomach acid, you might want to get to the root of why you have stomach acid issues, or generally it's not an acid excess. It's actually an acid deficiency, and getting the system working and educating them on, hey, if you're been on this protein pump inhibitor for 10 or 15 years, you haven't absorbed nutrition for 10 or 15 years, or whether it's ambient or whatever, just educating people on trade-offs, right? And trying to find the big gaps of why they're struggling with where they're at. And a lot of people, because they don't get to interact with a doctor or a coach, on a regular basis. They don't get to know the person, and they don't get to dive deep into what's really, really going on. And that maybe the exercise program they're doing is actually contributing to the issue that they're having, or stress in their life, or they've got trauma that's an underlying issue that's causing them to use a lot of the coping strategies that they're stuck in. So that's a lot of what we do. So the top 5 reasons people fail. Well, first of all, we got to define what failure is. And it can depend, it could be an athletic thing. It could be a body composition thing, but we're just going to use the general, I think, fail at health, or because most people, like when you actually sit down and talk to them, they just want to look good and feel good, right? And so we get people with fatigue, we get people with autoimmune issues, we get people with, they can't lose weight, they've got a thyroid issue. And really the biggest problem we see is what we talk about constantly, is people have just gotten disconnected from nature. They've gotten sucked into modern life, live an indoor life. They don't have the habits to get outside, to get enough natural light in their life. Modern life has kind of taken over, and there's side effects that come with living an indoor life. And a lot of times with somebody like me, I didn't get the full-fledged side effects until I was in my mid to late 30s, because my childhood was an outdoor life. Like I literally played outside every day for 6 to 8 hours a day. Even when I was in school, we had plenty of outdoor time, lots of exercise. I had a few health issues growing up, but because I spent so much time outside, it offset a lot of that. And then I was able to get away with it through my 20s into my 30s. And then the wheels came off the wagon. And then originally, it was a lack of sleep and working too much. And then I found some balance in that. And then later on, I had another health hiccup where I got into the circadian rhythm stuff. which was really a root of a lot of the issues that I've had. So educating people on, okay, how can I live a more outdoor life that gives me the circadian rhythm I need, that gives me the light I need. That really is the foundation. Getting out of nature, reducing stress. That's a huge part of why most people fail. And number two is probably most people are looking externally for solutions. So they're looking for supplements, they're looking for some magic program, when they really need to turn inward and look inside themselves. And really the answer to getting yourself in a better place is actually slowing down and being present enough in the present, not living in the past, not living in the future, but being present enough to actually be in tune and listen to your body, and getting yourself to actually listen to what your body's trying to tell you. Because a lot of people, your body's always trying to survive, right? So many times when you're fatigued, you might want to override that, and in times you might need to, and that's totally fine. I've done that plenty of times. But also giving the body, you got to have light to have dark. So giving the body the rest that it needs, so it can reset and live to fight another day. A lot of people, because of our fast-paced modern life, they just continue to just push through every day. I've got to do more. I've got to work harder. So, a lot of people are looking for the fancy gadget. They're looking for, the supplement to fix them. And a lot of times it's a matter of looking within and becoming calm and being at peace with yourself. And that, listening to the body and be like, hey, I've worked really hard this week. I need to go, I need to take a couple days where I'm not working as hard. And number three, just overcomplicating things and not basically adhering to the fundamentals, which walk outside 3 times a day, eat a protein at every meal, drink high quality spring water, get the lights off at night, have social connection. Like, those are the basic fundamental things that most people think are really easy and they're doing already, but most people really are not, right? And they don't do them consistently enough to actually get results. Another biggie is they don't understand what variability means. They don't understand the variability, particularly in the nervous system, to switch from one side to the other. And when you lose options in movement, when you lose options in the ability to turn, you really can't turn off and on your nervous system, but switch between rest and digest and kick people's butt. They lose that variability. And that comes also from modern life, from the high stress, traffic, all the things. They get caught in this loop, and it's very hard for them to actually relax and shut off. Right. And so not understanding, getting stuck in a strategy where you have a hard time getting out of it, and you might have to change your approach, add some different habits in. And that's why the fundamentals are so important, because that walking outside while you're breathing through your nose helps you kind of pull yourself out of that, ramp strategy. And a lot of people today, or you'll hear people like, well, people are too inactive, people don't do enough. Yes, that's true. People don't do quite as much, but they're doing more mentally, and they're doing more in their own head. And your body doesn't really know the difference between you running from a bear for real and running from a bear in your mind. And with the phones and with constant stimulation, and it's just just constantly revving. And so we very rarely in our society sit quietly, sit silently, take the time to chill. So even though you're not getting, as much exercise as you probably would, just much low level exercise, and then people they'll do no manual labor all day. They'll be very inactive, and then they go to the gym and try to make up for it with a 40-45 minute high intensity session. What they really need is just some general work capacity to build capacity, so you can handle intensity, because there's nothing wrong with intensity. It's kind of like putting the sprinkles on the cake without the icing. If you just want to eat sprinkles on a cake, go for it. But not that I eat cake very often, but Actually, I had a piece of key lime pie the other night that was absolutely phenomenal. So, when you do splurge, make sure you make it worth it, right? And another big one is they really don't take light that seriously. Like the lights off at night thing is so important. And I did a seminar. Was it past weekend or the weekend before? But it was recently, and it was the first time I had spent a significant time indoors in the last probably. I mean, I go to unfortunately I don't have the ability to work out at a gym outside yet. That's why I'm building one in Nicaragua. But I haven't really spent probably the most time I've spent inside in the last 3.5 years is maybe 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours. Maybe if I go to dinner and there's no outside seating, I usually pick places with outside seating on purpose. But this was a 2-day event, and I spent more time than I have in the last 3 years indoors. And the difference, like I felt horrible compared to what I normally feel like. So, and most people come home, they flip the overhead lights on, the TV's on, the phones are on, and then they wonder why they can't sleep. So getting super diligent about managing the lights at night. Obviously you don't want to drive with blue blockers on. That's really dumb. But if you can't see the stoplights and all of a sudden you're groggy, and what if you go to sleep while you're driving? That's not a good idea. But like if you go into Publix or wherever you go and it's like, past sundown, put those blue blockers on when you go inside. Because man, my eyes hurt when I go in there now. My eyes used to hurt when I went out in the sun without sunglasses because I used to wear sunglasses constantly. And now it's the opposite. Now my eyes will literally start to hurt when I go into a store past sunset. When I go in during the day, I don't really get all bent out of shape about wearing blue blockers because I'm only in there for a little while. But at night, I definitely, when I go into a store, I'll wear blue blockers at night. And then the social connection. A lot of people just get kind of caught up in their own little thing on their phone, and they don't make time to go out and socialize and laugh and have a good time with their friends, and that's one of the unfortunate things about our modern world is it's basically taken us from personal interaction to interaction on this thing, right? I was actually out at a dinner the other night, and I watched a group of teenagers sit around a table, and they were all literally texting with each other. They never talked the whole time. They were literally just texting. They would laugh and they'd point at each other, and they were just texting things back to each other. They never had any conversation the entire time. So it's you have to use the world for what you need of it. Like with us, we have a virtual business that allows us to work anywhere or live anywhere, and to help as many people as possible and keep our overhead down significantly. If we had like a physical office, the overhead goes through the ceiling, right? So this allows us to help more people around the world, that people we work with everywhere. But we also put limits on, we unplug Wi-Fi routers, we hardwire things. We set, limits. I turn my phone off at certain times. I put my phone in airplane mode. Dr. Stillman's a little more vigilant about that than I am. But we set boundaries and limits so that, the technology doesn't drive us. We use it, right? Which is super important. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching, give us a like, please help us in the algorithm, which obviously we don't appeal to the powers that be, because we're trying to teach you to be strong, healthy, and independent, as opposed to a complacent, compliant consumer. But the big thing is most people don't do the basics consistently enough over a long enough period of time to really move the needle. So, and that's where having guidance and having accountability really, really makes a difference, right? Because most people in this modern world are just medicating themselves with food. They're medicating themselves with cheap dopamine to make them feel good, right? Whereas you really need to be getting that fix from nature, from the sun, from community. You need to nourish your body, not medicate it. And that's the loop that most people are stuck in today. Is they're stuck in a medication loop where they're medicating with food. Maybe they're medicating with stress. A lot of people that I see, they get addicted to stress, and they have to create stress because that's the only way they feel like they're alive. Like I have a lady I'm working with right now. I only feel good when I exercise, and it's high intensity stuff. And then after that, I feel terrible for a couple days, until I exercise the next time. But I'm noticing that I need more intensity, that I need louder music, that, I've switched classes because, the teachers weren't motivating me enough. And when you get into that kind of situation where you're having to get someone to motivate you and yell at you more to do more, you're not in a good place. And so that's a huge warning sign. And we run into a lot of those people because we tend to attract the overachiever types. And then, one of the most important things is to educate people on trade-offs. Like if you're going to try and set up a multiple six-figure business, you're going to have to make sacrifices. Okay, what are some of the ways we can mitigate the sacrifices you're going to have to make? Well, we can do that with Float Tank. We can do that with a meal prep service. We can do that by you hiring a virtual assistant to unload some of your work, so you're not having to do everything. Proper planning, but there are sacrifices. Like professional athletes sacrifice their health in order to perform their sport. Most people don't understand that. To compete at a high level in just about anything is going to be detrimental to your health. Now, how much do you want to trade off? And that's where the education, if you want to be a world-class powerlifter and set world records in powerlifting, longevity and health is not going to be on the table. Okay. But that might be okay. That might be what you want right now. But later on, you can kind of change your goals. But there's things we can do if you're that world-class powerlifter to mitigate some of the trade-offs and the damage that come from that, right? And then you get the people that are the amateurs that look at what the elite level athletes are doing, and they think, well, this is what I have to do to be healthy. And most of the time it does not work well. So getting people to understand what their goals are and what they truly want and need. And a lot of people don't understand the kind of car they're driving, right? If you're a forerunner driving it on a track at, close, maximum speed is not going to be a good experience, so you're going to have to treat your forerunner, and your forerunner is good at certain things. You want to be the best version of the forerunner you can, and understand that the forerunner is great for off-roading. It's great for, throwing your surfboards on. It's great for general driving, but it's not good for high performance. And if you're a McLaren, you got to understand that it's great for driving at high performance, but you're going to spend a lot more on maintenance. You're always going to be in the shop. And then you're going to be, really good at, tracks, and it's not going to be comfortable. But if you want to drive at high speeds on freeways and you want to go to the Autobahn, you're going to do fantastic. But the trade-off is going to be, you're going to have to do a lot more maintenance. It's very expensive. The tires, the brakes, everything's expensive. So understanding what body type you have, what gifts you've been given, and also understanding that some people are just freaks. There are people that can do things that blow my mind. Like all the guys that play in the NFL, high level professional athletes, there's people that just have the ability to go to a totally different level. And us mere mortals look at them and, well, if I work hard enough, if I just work hard enough, it's like the penguin. If I flap my little flippers hard enough, I will fly eventually. Well, the penguin is not designed to fly. It's designed to fly in the water, not fly in the air. Right. So if you have a penguin that's, I want to fly so bad. I mean, the penguin could build a plane or attach a rocket to its back, but that's probably not going to end well. So understanding your structure, understanding what you've been given, and then working to be the best version of you instead of looking around at everyone else on Instagram, or this person has six-pack abs, this person has this, all those things come with trade-offs, and you have to figure out what's best for you. And that's why it's good to be present in your own body and focus on what you can control instead of looking in other places. Most people get really frustrated because they focus on things they can't control. They focus on things in the past. They focus on things in the future instead of being in the present. So, and that's why something simple like going for a 10-minute walk with your mouth closed, breathing through your nose, more for observation, and you're looking at the trees and you're looking at the birds. It just brings you into the present moment, and practicing that, especially breathing through your nose, getting your respiratory rate down, calming yourself. That is a huge thing that most people don't do enough of. I mean, when's the last time you went to a park and just sat on the park bench and relaxed and didn't do anything and just sat silently? Most people, I would guarantee, the vast majority of Americans would probably say in the last year have done that 0 times. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I've observed, people would rather sit on the couch at 11 o'clock and watch Netflix in their underwear and eat Doritos than go to the park and listen to the birds chirp. But hey, to each their own. So, does anyone have any questions? I'd be happy to answer a few questions if you have them. Make sure you get on our email list. We will be doing our webinar on iron overload tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then we have, I think we're going into we're going to go into in depth on our basic fundamental habits in the next few days. So that'll be fun. I think Miss Lauren will be joining us tomorrow, which is good. She always makes the show look better and sound better. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys getting on here. And I look forward to doing these broadcasts from different locations throughout Florida and throughout eventually Mexico and Central and South America. So have a wonderful day. Make sure you get outside. Oh, and go to stillmanwellness.com. Get on the email list so you'll get our emails for our webinars. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.